Welcome back, game developers. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to make a hazard that can destroy the player, a collectible, and a temporary power-up. Okay, so here we are in Construct. First thing we're going to need to do is create our hazard, our collectible, and our power-up. So we are going to double click in the empty space and create a sprite. And again, click anywhere. And this is our hazard. It's going to be fire. It can be whatever you want in your game, but I'm going to go ahead and use the fill tool to create just a red square. That's good enough for me. All right, and we're going to rename it fire. And let's resize it. Again, if you hold shift while you're resizing, it'll keep its proportions. Okay, we have our fire. Next, let's make our collectible. So again, we're going to double click. We're going to add a new sprite. And this one, I'm going to make it a coin. So I'm going to make it like a yellow. And I'm going to draw a $sign on it, because coins are worth dollars, of course. All right, and I'm going to rename it coin, and I'm going to resize it, again holding shift so it keeps its proportions. All right, and last we're going to make the power up. So I'm going to add a third sprite, and this one I'm going to have it be like a violet purple color. And I'm going to write the letter P for power up. All right, so rename that power up. All right, and notice that you cannot use dashes in names. Okay, so no dashes, so just power up. All right, so we have our three objects. Now we can actually code. Now all the coding happens on what they call an event sheet in Construct 3. And for our layout here, our layout 1, you can see in its properties bar that it's paired with event sheet number 1. So we're going to double click event sheet number 1, and it looks like this. So the first thing we want to do is make the hazard, right? So our pseudocode was when the player collides with the fire, we want the player to be destroyed. So let's make that happen. So we're going to add an event, and we are going to select the player, and we are going to do collides with. Okay, so we're checking with what is the player colliding with. So on collision with another object. Okay, now what are they colliding with? Well, they're colliding with the fire. Okay, so when the player collides with the fire, what do we want to have happen? So we're going to add an action. We're going to select the player, and we want the player to be destroyed, right? To be gone. So we're going to scroll down, and we're going to look for destroy. And there it is right there. Okay, so when the player collides with the fire, destroy them. All right, so let's go back to our layout. And let's move our fire somewhere on the level. And then let's test it and see what happens. Okay, we move over to the fire, we collide with it, and our player is destroyed. All right, so it works. Okay, next, let's code our collectible here, our coin. Okay, and in our pseudocode, we said that when the player collides with the coin, this time we'll have the coin be destroyed. So let's go back to our event sheet. Let's add another event. So when the player, on collision with another object, okay, when they collide with the coin, then what do we want to have happen? We want the coin to be destroyed. All right, so let's go back to our layout and let's test that now. All right, we very carefully move past our fire, go down to the coin, and when we collide with it, the coin is destroyed. But look at this. Our player now moves off screen and the camera doesn't follow him. So let's fix that. So to get the camera to follow the player, we need the scroll to behavior. So click your player and we're going to go over to its behaviors and we're going to give it a second behavior. We are going to give it the scroll to behavior right here. Now let's go ahead and test this and see what happens. All right, carefully avoid the fire. And look at that. The camera, like magic, is now following our player. Okay, finally, let's code the power-up. So we go back to our event sheet, and we're going to add an event. And when the player collides with the power-up, okay, what do we want to have happen? Well, first we want the power-up to be destroyed, so you can't keep getting it over and over again. Next, we want to increase the player's speed. So we are going to change not its speed, but we're going to set its max speed. And we're going to set that to a larger number. We can do 400. Let's do 600. Let's make it a little bit more extreme. Okay. Now we want to wait and then set it back to its original speed. So the wait command is under system, and there's lots of actions under system, but down here at the bottom is wait. So we're going to use wait, and we're going to wait 5 seconds, and then we are going to change the speed back to 200, what it was originally. So player, we're going to set its max speed back down to 200. Okay, so let's give this a try. All right, carefully move past the fire, grab our coin, hit the power up, and look at that, our player is super fast for 5 seconds, and then will his speed go back to normal? And there it is, his speed's back to normal now. Okay, so there we created a hazard that will destroy the player, a coin that they can pick up, and also a temporary power up.